How's it going, everyone? It's Milwaukee coming back at you once again, and today we're going to be discussing the Superman crossover event, the return of Krypton. Let's get into it. This event, kind of a weird one. Not that long. It's only like 7 issues, but it's the sequel to Hell on Earth, and I went ahead and jumped ahead in the Superman titles because I was just that curious to see what happens next. So here we go. Now, this book has a lot of reprints of the Zero issues of the Superman titles. You know, Superman Zero, Supergirl Zero, and Superboy Zero, which when I read originally, I was like, what is this? You know, these are random Krypton issues. But here, it turns out the master plan is all coming together. And it looks like there was a plan all along, even if everything seemed random at first. So I'm going to start off with Superboy Zero, where a clone named Khan led a clone rebellion on Krypton, which nearly destroyed the planet. Then we got Supergirl Zero, where Zor-El sends his daughter Kara away from a dying Krypton in a Kryptonian rocket ship. Then we get Superman issue 0, where Jor-El and Laura, the parents of Superman, are targeted by assassins who want to bring on the destruction of the world of Krypton. And then the first issue proper kicking off this event, the Oracle, first seen in the Hell on Earth event, summons Superman, Superboy, and Supergirl to space, where they learn of Hell's survival. The Oracle gives them 3 critical missions in which they must go back in time and stop Hell from, saving Krypton and destroying everything that was supposed to come from Krypton's destruction. They gotta set the timeline back right. Can they do it? Superboy's mission is to ensure that Kara gets on that rocket and leaves Krypton as she was supposed to. The only problem is she's being targeted by a villain known as the Eradicator. Meanwhile, Superman catches a beatdown from his mother Laura as he investigates Jor-El's lab. Supergirl, on the other hand, gets set back further in time to the times of the Clone Rebellion, where she meets Khan the Clone, and Hell makes his presence known and takes on Supergirl, while simultaneously taking on Superboy in 2 separate timelines, stretching himself a little too thin. Then in the finale, we learn the true origins of Hell, while Superman and Jor-El team up to battle Hell in his final timeline. So like I said, it was a shorter event. A lot of reprints of the Zero issues that we already read and were already collected previously, plus these 4 new issues, one of which was a villains issue, and the other ones just ran through the Superman titles. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I wanted, little disappointing, but we'll get into it. The best thing to come out of this book was probably the true origins of Hell. It turns out he wasn't Jor-El's lab assistant. Who could have seen that one coming? It turns out he was part of this petri dish of DNA in Kryptonian history that Jor-El had put together to put on this experimental rocket that was to act as a time capsule for the doomed planet of Krypton. 1, Krypton's gravitational pull was too strong that Kryptonians weren't able to send rockets into space, so this was experimental in the sense that Jor-El wanted to see if it could even be done, so that he could then, therefore, later send his son, and and Zor-El will send Kara and the experimental rocket ships later on, but also to preserve Kryptonian Kryptons, right, way of life. So that's how Hell got his hands on that dragon that he sent against Superman way back in Hell on Earth, because the dragon DNA was there, and Hell was created of that DNA, so he was, in fact, like a clone, something that Kryptonians hate and think are abominations. So he was self-hating. He hated on, Superboy, and, I guess a pretty unique, satisfying origin for the character, and who knows, maybe he'll be back some point in the future. Also, another pretty enjoyable part of this book is, if you've been reading along and following my reviews, that Superboy and Supergirl don't exactly get along. Supergirl only views Superboy as a clone, which, of course, as we know, according to Kryptonians, are abominations due to the clone rebellions that happened years ago on the planet. Clones are hated, so Supergirl never liked or trusted Superboy, and they're always at odds with each other. But here in this book, Superboy's mission is to ensure that Supergirl gets to the rocket ship and that she lives, past the destruction of Krypton. So here, young, Kara, she doesn't realize that Superboy's a clone, and she's kind of got the hots for him. She likes him. So it was a different change on their relationship, and we'll see what happens going forward with the characters. Because let's just say, a sacrifice may or may not have been made, and we'll see what happens with that. Also, there's a lot of tension in this book with Superman. He doesn't want Krypton to explode. He wants to find a way to be able to save it and have his cake and eat it too and all this stuff. But ultimately, Krypton's destroyed. And, I'm left now not knowing what's going to happen in the future as a result of this event. Maybe nothing. It kind of seemed like it was a smaller event, spinning out a villain's month. But hopefully there's some ramifications. We'll see. But who knows? So all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give The Return of Krypton a 3 out of 5. I was really looking forward to the event, coming off the heels of Hell on Earth. Didn't quite live up to my expectations, but I can't say it was bad. 3 out of 5. Until next time, see you there.